I'm happy to meet all of you today, and today we are going to see our 10th session. Okay, so today it's going to be very interesting and exciting, and today we are going to work with subqueries. Okay, so today we are going to learn how to work with subqueries. Okay, so what are the scenarios? Why do we need subqueries? So we have completed the first slide successfully, and then we are right now here working with subqueries, and we are also going to learn various types of subqueries and how and where it can be applied. So today this is the agenda. Subquery overview we are going to see, and then we are going to see various types of subqueries and subquery consideration, and finally we will be having quiz. So recap, I think today I'm not going to spend much time. This is what we are doing is we are building a app or maybe database application for a restaurant chain of restaurant who wants to capture and store, process, and report data for the day-to-day business transaction. Okay, so the data it should capture like customer visits and order details and the master item, menu card details, and so on, so that it can answer most ordered items, frequently visiting customer, time of the day of the week analysis, right? And all the perspective we should be able to get the data like restaurant wise. We should be able to do analytics like quantity wise, amount wise, in terms of number of customers visited on a given day, and so on. With that background, today we are trying to answer these three business questions using subqueries. Okay, using subqueries, we are going to see these things. List the items which are not yet ordered. List the items which are not yet ordered. Okay. So it is there in the menu card, but no customer has ordered. Okay, so we need to get the list of those items. Okay, so this is the first business question that we are going to learn today. We are going to solve. List the items which are not yet ordered. Okay. And second is list the customers who ordered more than 5 total item quantity. Okay. So list all these customers who ordered more than 5 quantities altogether. And then finally we are going to see list the items along with the total order quantity. Okay. So total order quantity. We are going to see side by side item from the menu card along with the total order quantity. So now we need to understand what is the purpose of subquery. So because one query is sufficient, right? So far we have seen subqueries, we have where condition from class, and even we can join with multiple table. Right? One query is sufficient. We can join with multiple table. Even 20 tables, 30 tables are possible within a single query. But why we need to go for a subquery? Because complex answers need multiple queries or complex query. So instead of complicating a big query, that subquery gives us more structured way of writing a query. Okay, the subquery is going to help us break the big query into small chunks. Okay, but still they are part of the same subquery. And another scenario when the subquery is needed is where we cannot directly join. So not all the tables can be joined, right? So not all the tables can be joined, because if there is no relationship, we cannot join. Second thing is, if their relationship is more of a child and parent, sometimes no. When I say child and parent, it is for example many to many. We learned that many to many cannot be directly joined, or one to many and many to one. Especially one to many also is when we join. Sometimes the result it will show duplicate. I will show you. So I will show you first why join might create an issue in some scenario. Let's say this is a regular join. Okay, so regular join, what I'm trying to do, I'm joining the menu item. So this is the menu item, right? So I'm joining the menu item table, and then I'm joining the order item table. So this is the order. So far what all items are placed in the order. Okay, so I'm joining these two, selecting the items from the menu where where the items are ordered more than one quantity in a order. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm putting a where condition into the order item table. Order item table, I'm joining a condition where I'm selecting all the items from the menu where the items are placed more than one quantity in a order. Okay, so when I select this, let's see. So when I select, I'm getting the result. These are the items, for example, chapati and then tea and all. We have in a single order, they have placed more than one quantity. Okay, they have placed more than one quantity. So we have got the list. But what is the issue with this list? The issue with this list is it is showing duplicate, right? It is showing duplicate. You know why it is showing duplicate? Because we are trying to do this. We are selecting columns from a parent table. Menu card. Menu card is more of a parent, right? Because that has the exhaustive list. Menu card is more of a parent table. And then we are joining condition based on a child table, right? Child table. This is a child table. So parent is 1. For one item in a menu card, there will be multiple order items, right? So whenever we want to select details from the parent table and the join condition in a child table, right? So this will show the same parent again and again for a different child. The same thing can be solved with what? Distinct if I put, it will solve the problem. Distinct if I put, it will solve the problem and it will give us the distinct the items. But distinct also we have some challenge, right? Because it is a performance degrade. Is there any better way to write the same query, the same condition if I want to write? That is where I can use subquery. I can go for subquery. You will learn what is subquery. Okay, so I'm also telling one problem statement. Sometimes a query becomes really huge with multiple join. So that's why we need to go for a subquery. Okay, and we have just now seen multiple join, what kind of issue it's creating, or assume that one join, right? In production, I have seen some huge joins like 20 table joins, 30 table joins, right? So in those kind of situation, we can go for a subquery in case if it can simplify. What is a subquery? Subquery are part of a query and address a specific task. Subquery are part of a query, the main query, and it addresses a specific task. Okay, so this is how you can see a subquery. Right side you see a diagram, right? So this is a one query. Right now we used to write only one query without subquery. But how a subquery will contain subquery like this. So this is also called a parent query. This is called a nested query or inner query or subquery, right? So the subquery can also be called as inner query. This is outer query. This is also called outer query. Okay. Subquery provides an intermediate result to the main query. So what is the purpose of subquery? Subquery does one small specific task. Okay. Specific task. And the BigQuery assigns a task to subquery and it does work and it returns the result. And then the result means it's an intermediate result. It passes it back to the query and then the query uses that information as an input and then it produces the final output. Okay, a big query can contain multiple subqueries. It's not just one subquery. It can contain 3, 4 subqueries, 5 subqueries, any number of subqueries based on the subtasks. It's more of a the requirement we need to understand. So, but at high level, this is how a subquery will be within a query. Okay. So now you guys understand what is an outer query. Outer query is what is outside of the subquery, and subquery is also called inner query. So first type we are going to see there are 4 different types of subqueries. So first query is called regular subquery. First query is called regular subquery. So inner query works independently and provides an intermediate data set. There is no join condition between outer and inner queries. Okay, so there won't be any interaction between the outer query and the inner query. So this is how the regular subquery. Regular subquery is select star from table where column equal to select column from table 2. Okay. So this is a inner query. So we will see one practical scenario and you will also see one example. This is the syntax. The above is the syntax. Below is one example. So you see what they are trying to do. They are trying to get the order ID and order date and customer ID from sales order. This is from no generic example. So from a sales order table, they are fetching some information wherein they are only restricting customers who are in this list. Okay, select customer from sales customer table where city equal to New York. So what they are doing is they are they are first filtering only customers who resides in New York. Okay, so this is an independent query. I can simply highlight this yellow color query, right? That's why this is called regular subquery. Regular subquery works independently. Independent in the sense, if I just copy paste this query alone, if I execute, it will work. Okay, this is called subquery as well as inner query. Okay, and then this provides the list of customers to the outer query, and then the outer query uses that in the in condition, and it produces the final output. Okay, so we are going to see one example in our restaurant scenario. Okay, so in case if you any one of you have any question understanding the subquery, let me know in the chat so that I will try to answer. Okay, okay, let me go to our example and I am going to share. Okay, so regular subquery, so what I am trying to do, I am trying to do I'm so what I'm doing, I'm only taking listing all the items which are at least which are placed at least in one order. So this query is business question is business question. What is the business question? Okay, business question is list all menu items which are placed in at least one order. Okay, at least placed in one order. So what we need to do, list all the menu items. So we are selecting from the menu item, right? So all these items are we are selecting, and the condition is the item should be present in the order item table, right? So the order item table, the menu items should be present in order item table. So for that we have written a subquery. So this subquery, if you see, this is going to return all items. You see, this is going to return all the item ID that are so far that have been ordered. So inner query is returning the item IDs present in the order item table. So you guys understand. So what the inner query is doing? Inner query is returning all the items that are placed in orders, various orders, all the orders. It is giving all the orders so far placed. So based on that, if I give this as an input to the menu, then menu card will return those items, right, for which at least one order, right, at least present in at least in one order. Those are placed. So now I know out of 16 items in the menu card, 9 items have been placed. Remaining 7 items are not placed in any order. So you guys get the point. So this is why this is called regular subquery. This is called as a regular subquery because this can be executed independently. There is no interaction between outer query and inner query. Interaction in the sense I dot, there is no join condition. I dot item ID equal to O dot item ID, it's not there. Okay, this is only providing a intermediate results. So this is the query that we write, but I also wanted to share one more insight to you. Okay, so how SQL works. So what SQL does is SQL actually does this internally. So what this will do, SQL will first execute this and it gets this result, right? So this results, it just takes and it just replaces the actual subquery to the outer query. So the outer query will execute like this. Okay, so now you guys understand how internally SQL uses the subquery. SQL uses the results of the subquery and replaces and feeds as an input to the outer query. Okay, so it substitutes Now you see the same result set, whatever that we see. This is because this is what internally it is happening. So now this will clear easily. Okay, what is the intention of subquery? Subquery has a purpose. It only return the list of item which will be given as an input to the outer query. Is it clear? You guys are able to follow? Can you guys put it in the chat if you are able to follow, understand the subquery concept? It's easy. Okay, so now if with the intermediate results, how it is working, if you can follow. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Shaknas, Nandini, Prashant, Shubhi. Okay. Thank you for the thing. Yeah. So now let me move on to the second type. Okay. So this is the first type. Okay. Here also now you can understand. The select this query, if I execute, it will give me the list of all the customers who are residing in New York. Then that intermediate result will be passed to the outer query. So outer query will be take as an input in the in condition list of values. Then it will produce output. Okay. So now we are going to see second subtype. It is called correlated subquery. Correlated subquery. Why it is called correlated? Correlated, there is a relationship between outer correlation. Correlation we know, right? It is related to that. One is related to the other. So the inner query works dependent on the outer query. So you see the example. This is the syntax. They select column 1 from table outer query. So there's some alias they've used, so just for understanding, where some column, all these things that they put. But here if you see, there is a condition where it works in the where, you see. So what it happens is the outer query is passing a value to the inner query and then validating with the joining, okay, with the where condition. Okay, so this is how the correlated subquery. So there is a correlation. So it's trying to find the correlation between the outer query and the inner query by passing value from outer query to inner query and then getting the result, validating. Okay, for this input, what is output? For this record, for this value, what is the output? So that's how it is trying to do a correlation for each and every record. So there are join condition or where condition, basically join or where condition between outer query and inner query. This is the difference between subquery and the regular subquery and correlated subquery. So now we are going to see one example. So here if you see, don't look into the code, actual code, try to understand, but if you see only the example, you see the outer query has sp as the alias name. Okay, so it also has sp.execution id. You see, it is there in the where condition. So there is a it is a correlated subquery. Okay. So now we are going to see how the same thing can be used using regular subquery. Okay, so now we are going to go to correlated subquery. Yeah, so correlated subquery we are trying to get. Okay, so let's try to find out what is a correlated subquery. So correlated subquery, I'm trying to get the list of customers who has at least one order. Okay, that's the same thing. The business question. What is the business question? Business question is find out or get the list of customers who have at least one order placed. So then I can do I can do like a regular subquery also, right? I can do, because this is what, right? This is similar to the above subquery, right? So here it's the same way I can write. Same way I can write. Same way what I can do. I can do, if I have to write this as a first regular subquery, what I can do, I don't need to give this where condition. So the query will work. This is the regular subquery because it can independently work. So you see, if I give this, it will independently work, right? And then it will also give the result. So what result is giving? It's giving 6 customers. Out of 7 customers, 6 customers have placed at least one order. So the correlated subqueries, I am also putting one more condition. C.customer ID equal to OS.customer ID. Okay. So I'm just giving that condition. So this it is also going to produce the same output. Okay. So it is also going to produce the same output. So now I want to first tell you how the actual intermediate result will work. So what this is happening, the intermediate results will happen the other way. So what will happen? So the outer query will execute in the correlated subquery. How the intermediate result will work? So first this will get all the result. The outer query will independently work first. Okay, so the outer query will get all the list of customer ID. Okay, all the list of 7 customer ID it will take. You see, that's what I'm trying to do. So in case of correlated subquery, outer query will get the result first, and then for each result it will pass this value to the inner query. For example, what it will do, so it will do like this. Okay, so what the intermediate is, how SQL uses this, SQL will first pass the value of 1. You see, for this c dot customer ID, it will pass the value of 1 from the outer query. Okay, and then this is how the query looks like. Then it will validate what the inner subquery will execute it. Then it will again execute the subquery for the outer query second value for 2, 3. Like that it will do union. Okay, so it will do union for all the value. Then what you will get? You will get the final result. This is how the correlated subquery will work. Okay, so now you see slowly it is building. Now you guys understand the difference between how the regular subquery works. Regular subquery, first the subquery get the intermediate result. Subquery get the independently it can work and it get the result, and it is given as an input to the outer query. In case of correlated subquery, the outer query first will get the list of values what needs to be passed to the subquery, and then for each of the value, for each of the record, it will execute the subquery, right, the condition along with the subquery. Okay, so this is how it works. It is pretty simple, straightforward. Basically both are the opposite to each other. You might have a question, why I need to use correlated subquery, why no, both are giving the same results. But there are some, I will tell you, there are some performance related also, right? Some situation we need to, there will be performance consideration when we should use regular subquery and when you should use correlated subquery. Okay, I will explain that later. But right now, just understand that different types of subquery. Okay. So you guys are able to understand, can you just put a comments if you guys are able to understand what is the correlated subquery, you are able to understand, at least the conceptually you are able to understand and how it works. Can you guys just put whether you are able to follow? Okay, Nandini said yes, she is able to. Yes. Okay, so you guys are able to follow. Thank you, Jabakumar. And I'm going to move on to the third type. So third type is inline subquery. This returns a single value. Inline subquery. What is an inline subquery? Inline subquery returns only one value. So the subquery will return only one value. So if you see, so far we have seen, right, this subquery. You see, this subquery does not return one value. This subquery, what it does? It returns a list of values. Okay, in case of regular sub. But the inline subquery is more of, it returns only one value. Okay, and this can be directly used as a column in a select class. Okay, so because it returns only one value, I can use this. For example, so if you see this example, select all this thing, but in the select itself, they have put a open bracket and close bracket. They have written a subquery. So the output value, since it's only one value, I can show this as one of the column of this particular output. Okay, that is what it is called, inline subquery. I'm going to show you. Inline subquery can be correlated or it can be regular subquery. For example, if you see here, it is a correlated subquery because the outer query, one column has been used in the inner query join. So this is a correlated inline subquery. This is called inline correlated subquery. But if I don't use the outer query column, then also then it is called inline regular subquery. So inline subquery can be created for both the types. Okay, so we are going to see one example now. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so now correlated subquery. Okay, so let's first finish this and come back. Okay, so I will explain both with more examples so that you guys can understand. Now, list the items. The business question. Okay, so for business question is list the items along with total quantity ordered along with it. Okay, so now what I'm doing, I am selecting item name from the item table menu card, but the next one I'm immediately writing a inline subquery. The entire thing is called inline subquery. Okay, the entire thing that I'm writing inner subquery, and what I'm doing, this is sum of quantity. This is what we need, right? We need sum of quantity from the child table. This is more of a order item table, where here is where I'm put a join. For each item in the menu card, it will pass the value here and it will get its total quantity. That's how it is going to work, and it get me as a column. Okay, so this is called inline correlated subquery. So I will also put a name, user friendly name, total quantity, total order quantity, in fact. Okay, so now if I execute, you guys will see. So what it is doing for each menu item, it is getting the total order quantity. Okay, for each item in the menu, it goes to the child table, and I will show you the, yeah. So this is a query. You can see the query, the corresponding query. For each item, what it does, it uses a subquery to fetch the value, total value. Because it is sum, it will only return one value, right? Because it is an aggregated, only one value it will return. So I can use this condition here. But if I use select star, can I use it in the where condition? Let's see. Select class. You see, it throws an error. Only one expression can be used, right? I cannot use as a column because it will return multiple record. So, and multiple column also. It has to return, the inline subquery should return only one value. Okay. So now you guys understand. Okay, so now you see some items are showing with null because gulab jamun no one has yet ordered. Pizza no one has yet ordered. Veg biryani, all these things. So if you want to handle, what we should do, can someone tell me how I can show, instead of showing null, can I show 0? What should I do? Instead of showing null, if I want to show 0, because 0 is user friendly, right? What should I do? Can someone make an attempt? If I don't want to show null, null means the item is not yet ordered. Yeah, it's a good one, Vignesh. Collace we can use, or the simplest one, we can use is null also. Okay, collace also we can use, Vignesh. Yes, and is null also. For example, in this case, I'm going to use is null. So if the subquery returns null value, then I'm saying show 0. Okay, so now I'm going to show 0. So this is how I can gracefully show the menu items which are not yet ordered and which are ordered. Okay. Okay. So now you guys have learnt inline subquery also. Now update we should not use, Shagnas, because that is a DML. DML is data manipulating. The actual table data itself we should not modify because there is no table column. Which one you will update? So we cannot update, right? Because this is only a query is returning null, but the table has the data. This is the DQL statement, right? Only in the query output we want to show. So only in the query output that we want to. So it's more of a DQL, how data handling needs to be done, right? Using a function. Yesterday we saw, right? Is null we should use in case if you want to handle the null values gracefully in the select queries. Okay, so not, yes. Okay, so thank you. And so we have seen inline subqueries. Now we are going to see fourth type and the last type subquery. This is called derived table. Okay, so I can use in the from class also. So a subquery I can directly use in the from class. Okay, and then I can give a alias, table alias. It must have an alias. Okay, so this is called derived table, and then I can use this like any other table. A one-time derived table can be created in a query and can be referred thereafter. It is good for a small sets, right? It is good for small set. So I think below also there is one more example. You see what they are doing? They are creating select from some salary. They are just doing computation and they are giving a tab as the alias name, and they are using tab after that. So let's see in one example in our data set. Okay, now we are going to see. Okay, let me show you. So before that, let me show you one example for inline regular subquery. So in case if you guys wants to know. So this is what is inline regular subquery. I can use top one so that I ensure that only one value is returns. And there is because this is regular subquery because this can be executed independently. right? This can be executed independently, right? So I'm not putting any where condition with outer query column, right? Now if I just execute, it will work fine, right? So this is how generally we will use inline regular subquery, right? Using top one to ensure that it returns only one value. Okay. So now going back to the derived table. So derived table is, so what I'm doing, I can derive a table instead of, for example, in a from class, I can open a square parenthesis and close a parenthesis, and I can give a alias name for this. So what, let's say I just from menu card, I'm getting a menu item ID, and let's say just for the sake, I'm multiplying by 10. I'm calculating, I'm adding a calculated column, just rate per into 10. Just assume just for our this thing. So this column I want to use. So what I can do, and for a particular beverage alone, right? So this output. So this output, I want to just create a derived table. So now if you see, if you execute this, I will get, even though if I put a dot star, it will not get all the menu item because a table has only 2 columns, right? It will get only those 2. So this derived table is useful in case if I want to, you know, if I don't want to refer the main table again and again. Let's say now the table is very simple, right? Small, only 2 columns and 2 records. So now I can easily, you know, manage it because I know that this table has only beverage, right? So like that I can create one table like A with beverage, and let's say another one I can create one with tiffin, like that. It ultimately based on the use case, business scenario question. But all I'm saying is we can, this derived table can be used to create a temporary kind of table for a query. The scope is only in this query. So this derived table I cannot use it, refer it anywhere, right? This derived table is only for using in the outer query. Okay. Okay, so that's a fourth query. So I think so far we have seen all the 4 subquery concepts. So now the subquery, there are certain considerations. In prefers exhaustive list, works fine. In versus exist. So I also need to tell you one more way of writing subquery. Okay, so I'm going to show you. Okay, so I'm going to show you how list the customer. Okay, so let me show you one more 2 ways of writing. Okay, so I think you guys, we have seen this example. Give me 1 second. I will pick up that. Yeah. Okay, I think let's pick up our business question, and then when I solve, I will show you this one. Yeah. So the business question I will try to solve. That time I will solve it in multiple 2 different ways. List the items which are not yet ordered. List the items which are not yet ordered. Okay. So list the items which are not yet ordered, right? So what I can do? Not yet ordered. So first list the items from the menu card. List the items from the menu card which are not yet ordered. So what I can do, simply not in OI dot item. So item ID not in O dot item ID from order item table. Very simple. So I'm saying get me all the menu items which are not in, those items not in any of the order. Very simple, right? So this way I can get the result. So these are the items. These are the 7 items which are not yet placed in any of the order. So now I can use not in. I can use in as well as I can use not in. Also I can use. So another way of solving the same question is, if I want to use like a correlated subquery, what I can do? Not exist. I can do, give me all the items which does not exist. Which does not exist. Okay. Which not exist in the subtable, where this OI dot item equal to I dot item ID. what I am saying is, this is first is the regular subquery, second is a correlated subquery. So in this regular subquery, I am doing first preparing all the list of items which have at least one order. But when I say not in, right, it will list on the outer query will list all the item excluding those items. Okay, that's a regular subquery. So here also, what I'm doing is I am picking up each item. I'm validating whether the item exists or not. It should not exist. Okay, the item should not exist in the order. So that's what it will check, and then it will say list the item. If it is not exist, if it exists, then it will not show that item. So that is how this correlated subquery will work. Correlated subquery also will return those 7 value, but I hope you guys understand the difference, right? Okay, so correlated subquery, first is a regular subquery. It works independently, get the list, and then it works. Correlated subquery will validate for each item whether it exists or not. If the condition is it should not exist, then this will answer our first question, right? So this will give the list of items which are not yet ordered. Now let's move on to the second question. List the customers who ordered more than 5 total quantity. List the customers who ordered more than 5 total quantity. So now what I should do, list the customer. Okay, from customer table. So this is how we should write the business question. Okay, business question is 5 customers who ordered more than 5 total item quantity. I'm going to put customers from customer table where I can put exists or in. In I can put because regular subquery is very easy, right? So now what I should do? Select star from order item. Not only order item, I also need order header also because the customer directly doesn't interact with the order item. So order item join with order header OH on OI dot order ID equal to OH dot order ID first. Okay, then where this is C, right? So C, where OH dot customer ID is equal to C dot customer ID. Okay, so now we have put a condition, but what is the main condition? They are saying total, at least total item they should have ordered 5 items. So what we should do? So we should say sum of. So here we should put the first customer ID. What customer ID? OH dot customer ID. Okay, OH dot customer ID. So it should return the list of customer ID. Okay, I think this is not needed then. So then because it's a regular subquery that I'm trying to add, right? Okay, and then what should I do? Group by OH dot customer ID having sum of OI dot quantity, item quantity greater than 5. Okay, so here customer ID in. Customer ID in. So now I will explain to you. So I will put it in a better way. Now I hope you guys will be able to follow. Okay, so now this is that's why the structure is very important. So how you format the query for better readability. You see now you can understand it in a much better way. Okay, so now you guys can clearly see. So what I'm trying to do, first I'm writing. So this alone I can execute now, right? So I'm getting all the customers who have who have ordered more than 5 order quantity, right? So only one customer has ordered more than 5 order quantity totally. Okay, and now what I can do, but this will not give the customer name because these two table does not have customer name. That's why I need to pass this as an input to the customer table. Now here I can put customer name, ID and name, like customer name. So that's why many times we will go for subquery for returning parents attributes. So now you see David alone has totally ordered more than 5 order quantity, total order quantity. This is the answer to our second business question. What is the business question? Customers, list the customers who have ordered more than 5 total item quantity. So now this query itself will give the join and the group by having condition will give you that answer. But why we need to give? Because we need the customer name. Okay. So for fetching the customer name, we need to give this output as an input to the customer table. Okay. So now you guys understood. And finally, list the items along with total order quantity. List the items along with the total order. I think this one we have already solved, right? This one I think already inline we solved. You see, this one we already solved. So the item wise, along with the item we have solved, showing the total item quantity. Item wise, we are showing the total order quantity. For each item, we are showing the total order quantity. Okay. So now we have seen total item wise also we have seen order quantity. Customer wise also we have seen the order quantity. Okay. So any question now? So this is for the second business question. Any question or any further clarification you guys need? Is anything is confusing? Yes, Prashant, you are right, absolutely right. So the items which are not yet ordered, we can use left or right outer join. Yes, you are right. And we can use where the column name is null. If we use, that's how we used to solve, right? For the join class. In the join class, we learned that if somebody is asking you to compare two tables and give the results which does not exist in the another table. So there you can go for left join, and then in the right side join, in any column you put, if the value is null, then that's the right answer because it doesn't exist in the right side table. Using that approach also we solved, in fact, already, Prashant. You're right, absolutely. We can solve this question using right join or left join, or using subquery. Any other question from anyone? So now I'm going back to the consideration, because subquery consideration is very important. So now subqueries, when to use in versus when to use not in. So you you should you can use in and not in, right? So not in, if you have to use, then it will based on the use case. You need to decide. When they say it should not exist, then you should not in. If they say it should exist, then you should use in. Similarly, exist and non-exist. Okay. But when should you use exist versus in? In versus exist? I will tell you. Can somebody tell me when you will go for regular subquery, when you will go for the correlated subquery? Can somebody make an attempt? When you should go for regular subquery versus when you should go for correlated subquery? Okay. So when we should go for regular subqueries, when we should go for regular subqueries, when this inner subquery is will return only finite and very small number of output, intermediate result. But if this result is going to return million records, then we should not go for regular subquery. You see, this itself will take a lot of time, right? If this itself is going to return 1 million records, then this query is going to take wait just for getting the intermediate results. You guys understand? So we should go for regular subquery only when this subquery is going to return maybe return maybe a few maybe less than 100 records. That's fine. You can go for regular subquery, so that the intermediate result will give you 100, and then outer query will use that and show in the result. In case if this query is going to return 1 million record, then it is going to do validation, then it is going to eat up a lot of time. You should go for correlated subquery. Okay, so you should go for correlated subquery. Okay, so the correlated subquery, where is the correlated subquery? Okay, so I think this is a correlated subquery, right? Yeah, we should go for correlated subquery. Why we should go for the correlated subquery? For each, so what this will do, if this, let's say if this is going to return only 10 records or maybe 100 records, so this will immediately get the outer query will get those 100 records. For each record it is going to give this where condition. So the inner subquery is not going to return 1 million records. It is going to get executed the where condition, and because the where condition is being used and index, let's assume index also is there, this query will run very fast comparatively, and it will give us the result quickly. So the criteria is when you should go for in versus exist. So this is an important interview question or performance tuning best practice. You should write a regular subquery when the intermediate result is small from the subquery. You go for in statement. If the result is large, then you should go for correlated subquery. Okay, correlated subquery is always preferable. So you should always first try to execute as a correlated subquery. Then only you should consider regular subquery. Okay, so that is a general scenario or the best practice that I would say. Go for correlated subquery always. Okay, so that is what you guys understood now, and it's a quiz time. So get ready guys, and try to answer with 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. For the first one, which subquery cannot be executed independently? Which subquery cannot be executed independently? This is a pretty straightforward question. I think you guys will answer correctly. Yes. 1 is C is the right answer. 1 is a C is the right answer. Good. Keep going guys. For the second one, don't answer third and fourth guys. Please answer only for the second one. For the benefit of everyone, let's take everyone along. So what is the right answer for the second one? Is it 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D? Let me read the question. Select star from item and condition they have given. And is it an inline subquery? Is it a regular subquery? Is it a correlated subquery, or is it a derived table? So I see 2A, Shahnas has given 2A, and I don't see any other answer from anyone. 2C, okay. So is it a 2C really? So you guys needs to really think, is it a 2C? 2C means the outer query should have, the column should have been used in the inner query. I don't think it is being used, right? Because I don't think it is being used. So this is called, so this is not 2A, this is not 2C, right? This is not 2A, this is not 2C. Because 2A, it's not 2A, because 2A means it should be mentioned in the select class. Inline means it should be mentioned in the select class. It's not mentioned in the select class, so it's not an inline subquery. Since the where condition does not have the outer query column, so this is not a correlated subquery. Yeah, 2B is the right answer. It's a regular subquery. Okay. So what about 3 guys? 3, it is a pretty straightforward. I hope you guys will be able to answer it correctly. 3, yes. 3A is the right answer. You guys, yeah, bang on with the result. And let's see what is the last one. Which subquery usage is different from the rest? Which subquery usage is different from the rest? So if you see 4 types, only one is totally different. Yes, 4D is the right answer because it is used as a table, right? It is used as a table, whereas all these, either they are used in the where condition or select condition. This one is used in the from class. Only this one is used in the from class. Yes, with that, I think we have finished the answering business question using subqueries. Okay, so we have made good progress, guys. So we finished 10 classes out of 15. And thank you so much for your time. And